What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be doing a deck profile on the Hange Zoe deck that I took to this week's Webcam Wednesday. If you guys are interested in playing in Webcam Wednesday, there's a link to my Discord in the description of this video down below that gives you announcements and updates on Webcam Wednesday. Would love to see you guys there. And so let's talk about the deck profile. So we've got Hange, right? Hange, one of my favorite characters from Attack on Titan. There's a 7-hand size, 21 health character with life and death, two very good symbols. And this character is really interesting to me. They do a lot of really cool ideas of +3 damage, -3 damage, and you can commit them to build cards out of your hand. I love having big, huge, massive stages. And then also the ability to just like re-ready and use their ability over and over again, keep yourself out of deadlock. A lot of cool ideas happening here. And I saw this character, and I saw their two symbols, and I went, you know what? Last format, I played a lot of Smiling Titan, who shares the same two symbols. What if I could take the Smiling Titan 4-check attack package and find a way to put it into Hange? And so that's what we did today. So starting off with our 4 best attacks in the deck, and it's just Ravages of War. Response, Blitz. After I play this, my rival discards a card, sacrifices a foundation, spends a momentum. This combined with Hange committing to give it +3 damage and building a card, it feels very, very good. The idea of Smiling Titan being able to hit and then re-ready only once per turn was a little bit of a turnoff to me, but Hange is a 7-hand size character that says you get to use this ability more than once by committing and then re-readying and then committing and then you can re-ready again depending on how long your strings can go. And so this being an 8 high for 11 that does all of this foundation destruction feels very, very good and is exactly the piece that we were looking for. But the reason that we decided to play the deck at all is just 4 copies of Too Big to Contain. So this is where the idea of I'm going to be building a bunch of extra foundations with Hange, and then with things like Ravages and Too Big to Contain, I'm going to be destroying your board. And so 6 mid for 7, sometimes 10, depending on if we use Hange or not. This card is probably the second best deck of the deck behind Ravages, because the whole goal of this deck is to keep my rival on so few foundational resources that they can't actually play the game. So all my moves are too fast because you don't have the foundations to play. We'll say this card does have a bit of a problem in that it does only destroy readied foundations after it resolves, but it is my choice. So something that they'll do is they'll attempt to block this thing, commit their entire stage in order to do it, and then now my card is blank. But when they can't successfully block it because they have, lost the resources, then we're off to the races. The next attack that we have is just Triple Attack Titan's Destructive Power. This card honestly is not that great. We probably should cut it down to just a 2 of, strictly because it's not very fast. 9 diff, 7 mid for 7, sometimes 7 for 10, just is not normally worth the 9 diff unless they have the 2 foundations flipped over that you want to ruin, or you take and selectively flip one of their cool cards, which is a good ability. It is very, very good to do that. But it felt a little lackluster today, but it's okay. From there, we've got Triple Disciplined Maneuver. This is another piece of board interaction, a little bit of board hate. It just has stun 2, and it also gets to like 15 damage by itself because we're playing a swath of 3 difficulty foundations to remove them to pump the stats. It's also got a decent 1 high block, which feels very good for blocking. This card is just like it's normally how I get to try and close out games. So after I've done the whole foundation denial thing, the stun 2 and then it gets big, I smack you for 15 is normally how we close it out. Up next, we've got our other big kill condition, and that's just Colossus Titan attacks. 13 damage throw inside of Hange that snaps you momentum. Our deck is very momentum hungry, and so our normal goal here is we want to find ourselves the Colossus Titan, have it sit in our stage, commit, make them flip 2, discard 2, saying that our cool Ruin card is a little stronger, and then rip the cards out of their hand. I have enough resources to play 2 moves. They go uncontested, and I get to kill them for it. Up next, our first big use of momentum is just Titan Swarm. I think this card's perfect at a 2 of. I think a lot of these 4-check decks are going to be playing a lot of 2 ofs from now on, just because of the amount of options that it gives you. This is an echo attack, so it's a 6 mid for 11, and then we use the momentum that we got with the Colossus Titan attacks in order to echo it again, and then it becomes a 5 diff 6 mid for 11 as long as you're done to use Hange twice. This card represents 22 damage on a singular card, and you only have to like normally commit like 3 foundations for it. 3 foundations and one card for 22 damage is a insane amount of damage. And then our last attack, kind of a well-rounder, is just the Jaw Titan attacks. Jaw Titan, 6 low for 9, that gains you 2 health, but most importantly, it's just the low block. We really care about the low block here because it's so easy to accidentally get zone overloaded as Hange. And yes, their damage reduction is very good, but you know, I'd rather block your 9 damage move and take nothing rather than reduce it down to 6 and still take like a third of my health. I like this card a lot. The flip side of this one is not spectacular. It's just +2 speed, but sometimes whenever you need something like a too big to contain to land, having the commit for +2 speed feels pretty good. And so that's it. That is the attack lineup. Again, kind of your classic 4-check attack package. You could be playing some other wonky stuff, but this is what I thought was just the most consistent. And so now we get on to the actions and assets. For actions, we're just playing 1 Genkai's. Very similar in the idea offensively for Colossus Titan. I'll use this one. Colossus Titan of these two combined together at form speed. Say commit discard 2, I'll play this, I'll discard 1, make you discard 1. This is discard 3 cards out of your hand, and then I just, you know, I play my 22 damage move, and I probably just kill you from there because this one was the throw and it leaked through. It also is a panic button of, hey, I can't quite DR enough. I obviously I'm gonna have the foundations, and I'm down to break my own foundation base. So I will Genkai's your last move and say that it didn't kill me. Asset wise, we're playing double Battle Arena. This card's just bonus resources. As your check to play attacks get +2, and all of our attacks are very, very big. We want to commit as little as possible so that we do more destroying on my rival's turn to re-ready rather than on our turn to re-ready, because we are technically going down a foundation, and if we decide to use Hange more than once, we're losing hand size, which is kind of a big deal in our 7-hander because we do want to try and block stuff. And again, we gather momentum, and we'll talk about that here in the future. Next asset is this League of Villains. This card is a cancel. This card is also some slight burn. I think the cancel is very, very good, especially because I'm down to commit League, commit a face down foundation, destroy the face down I just committed in another thing to then re-ready Hange. Feels really, really good. And, you know, getting blown out by an EX or a powerful or something along those lines, just having an onboard cancel. Okay. And also, we can't fail this on turn 1. We're allowed to safely build this because the lowest check on our deck is a 4, which is great. Up next, 1 Potato. Probably could be cut from the deck just because Smiling Titan and the 4-check idea is like a little out of vogue. But it just says that like if they try to, you know, like Invincible Body me or something, one of my big huge moves, I just tell them no. A Referee Jury might still exist in the format, and this card just is a 1-card answer to that. It also becomes a foundation, which I think is very good. Speaking of foundations, we're moving on to our foundations. So before we get in, I normally split my foundations into jobs. Aggro, flow, defense, disruption. There are no aggro cards or aggro foundations by deck. There just aren't any. The attack package takes care of the aggro all by itself because of how heavy hitting and Hange just giving +3 damage on anything that I so desire. And so our entire foundation base is the other 3 jobs, starting with League Interview. League Interview counts as 2 separate foundations. So I first form, I mill 2, and now I get +1 to my check, saying that if I come here and I play my 7 diff and I check a 6, I actually committed 0 resources to play my 7 diff move, and so we're off to the races. The rest of my hand is going to feel very good. So it's essentially the same idea as the Battle Arena of this one is worth 2 foundations, but this also has a very neat on block. If I block, flip it +1 on my check, and then I can commit it in order to pass it. And so a bit of a panic button there. I know a lot of people want to play a lot of League Interview. I'm a League Interview hater. I think 2 is the most that I would ever play in a deck. And even then, just a 1 already is stretching it because I think that because I already have Battle Arena, I don't need this card. It probably feels great. It feels good when you have it, and I don't think that I'm missing it. I'll just play better, if that makes sense. Next foundation building card is Weapons Clash. This job's 90-10. 90% I'm going to be building flip to build the top card of my deck face down and committed. It's an extra resource to then destroy with Hange in order to re-ready them, but it does have that 10% of I will destroy a face down foundation to give it -2 damage. So -2, -3, saying that any attack on your kill string has -5 damage says that sometimes I get eked out with having 2-3 life left if you're going to go pretty deep. Yes, my stage is ruined, but I didn't lose the game. The next one, same idea here, is we've got Always Cool. This one's a little more 60-40, maybe 50-50 of I want to Always Cool, add this up into my card pool, build 2 cards from the top of my deck in my stage. So I lose 1 but gain 2, so I net +1. But this card is way stronger than what Weapon Clash has got going on as long as you time it appropriately. If they have a move that has powerful or you know they're going to try and eke out that extra damage at enhanced speed, you can just respond to Always Cool, destroy it, it'll leave your stage, and then you don't die because Always Cool exists. More foundation building, we've got triple enormous axe. This is one of the big changes from the spinalist to Hange. So we've got Hange here, right? And we've got this, and these I've committed to pass checks. I just destroy these. When they get destroyed, I build the top 2 from my deck face down and then re-ready Hange. And so with Hange I build 1 out of my hand, and so I went up a resource and re-readied my character just because we had the enormous axes. I think this one is really good, and it also accidentally, face downs are happen all the time in my deck, and so being able to just commit for +4 damage is a clean way for you to close out games even as you are playing. I mean, we've got a 10 damage throw. Imagine making it a 13-17 damage throw just because of having enormous axe, and that's 4 for every copy of enormous axe we have. I'll commit them all and then start blowing them up with Hange. Up next, we've got Desperate Plea, building on my rival's turn. So response after I block a thing, which as a 7 hand size character I'm inclined to do, I can build the card face up or face down, which means that I get to take and utilize these really quality low blocks, high blocks, mid blocks that are in my attack package, because I can take and I can block with these cards, flip, and then build them in face down, so I get an extra resource. Hey, 2 face downs to use with Hange, I'm off to the races. This card also just expedites you. You can build in Always Cools, and so as they're calculating their damage, they didn't account for Always Cools or weapons clashes in order to get there. Up next, we've got Double Defend the City. This card is fine. This is your biggest flex slot of this could be 2 of anything that you want it to be. This card is just a stats card to me, right? 2, 6, 1 high block. The 1 high block is great. The 6 is great. And if they decide to commit any of your cards, you get to flip and re-ready a thing. We don't necessarily care about the 2 diff at all. This card, a lot of the times, was whenever I drew it, I just used Hange to just build it rather than using its own ability, unless I thought that they were going to be playing some amount of stun, in which case it's pretty good on board. But this card is fine at best. Up next, the other half of the flow is not building, but drawing. And again, 7 hand size character that is actively losing a hand size, cheating their own hand size to become foundations on their board. We lose cards in our hand quite a lot. And so Display of Might says that whenever we play one of these high difficulty moves, a playable committed, I will flip them to redraw. Oh, these were destroyed, or these are committed, I will destroy them to then re-ready my character. All in all, it feels great. You gotta play 4 of this one. Up next, same idea with 4 Botan's coaching. Our character surprisingly goes to 0 cards in hand a lot, which turns Botan's not into a cycle draw, but a +1 draw of I've got my 1 last card in my hand. I will use Hange to build it down, and then I will flip Botan's as my next one. I do what I can on the card, so I will attempt to discard a card. I've got nothing in my hand, and then I will just redraw 1 off the top and then destroy my 2. And if I don't like the card, I'll build it down. I can Botan's again. Card is incredible. It's very, very good in our deck because it's a 0 diff and we only check 4s. So we build crazy huge turns. Card's great. On to the defense, we've got 3 Invincible Body. This is a cut. We had to make some cuts in order to find us the where you at? The enormous axes, and this is one of the cards that got cut for it. Easily, you put the fourth one in your sideboard if you're missing it. This just says that, you know, I put your damage to 0 by destroying it, and then if you try to pump it back up, I'll use Hange to put it right back down. Just a panic button, remove and put it to 0. Feels pretty good. Taking care of the other stat is just surviving the final. Surviving combined with Hange being able to re-ready themselves and build cards from our hand. We have a lot of speed hate in the form of, you know, just having extra resources. And so I felt I only needed 3 of this. Could easily be a 4th one if you're missing it. Next defensive piece is just struggling with study. This card combined with the desperate plea are all of the like on board foundation if blocked tricks that you need. This one's saying if blocked, flip, build it into my stage. And this one's saying if I block a couple times, I get to flip and re-buy back one of my cards. And even if I can't use that card, I will flip it and then, or I will commit it and then build it out of my hand for -3 damage. And so this card feels very good. Obviously, the best target is something like Genkai's Guidance. Card feels great. Up next, onto the Disruption, and undeniably the best foundation in the deck. It's just Button Collector. I'm such a fan of Button Collector, and it's probably why I'm like so drawn to these 4-check decks, is because the tactic of Button Collector plus... Oh, I missed you. Where you at? Button Collector plus Colossus Titan attacks is just so much advantage on your end of I will Colossus Titan attacks, snap Blitz, grab my 2 momentum, and then use Button Collector to potentially seal the 2 targets that could interact with my Colossus Titan attacks, or you destroy one. If you destroyed one, you're just feeding into my game plan of these. Like, there were so many times that people were just like willy-nilly, they cared about their defense, and I didn't really care about their defense, and it was just they destroyed one so that then these were just more live. It just felt so strong. And then at worst, right, when I'm out of my momentum to do stuff, I can commit it, draw my bonus card, and then commit Hange to either build that card, or this is a committed card now, I can destroy it to then re-ready Hange. Like, this card just does everything in this deck, which is why it's the only 3 diff that's a 4 of. Up next, we've got 1 Intense Stare. I'm normally a 2 Intense Stare guy, and it's probably going to go back up to a 2 of after playing it. I think form, speed, committal is so strong. It's very in the same line as what Button Collector's got going on, of just like, I'm down to discard 1 card, commit your 1 diff speed hate card, and then slam this big move, and you couldn't deal with it. This card also deals with the assets, which the deck is really susceptible to things like Cape of No Return, and so this is good asset hate. Up next, we've got Double Disarming Glance. This card is very cool in the character because this card doesn't say non-character abilities. So anytime that my rival has a way to draw cards on their face or add cards to their hand, you could just flip and just tell them no. And then the cheeky tactic of this with Genkai's Guidance, you say that response until this attack resolves, they can't add cards to their hand, and then you Genkai's Guidance their move. The attack gets dropped, which means that it never resolves, which means this stays in effect for the entire turn. It doesn't fall off until the game mechanics tell it to fall off, rather than Disarming Glance telling it to fall off. And then the last card in the deck is just Syndicate Target. This card's just too good not to play. 6 check, 0 low block. It kind of does everything that we want it to do, and if you don't want to like play it out of your hand, you can just build it in with Hange for -3 damage. And so, like, low block, 6 check, 0 diff, -3 damage if we don't want it. It's just really solid. But there you have it. There is the Hange deck that I took for this week's Webcam Wednesday. Again, if you want to come and play on Webcam Wednesday, I'd love to have you. They are a blast every single week. All in all, how easy was this deck to pilot? A scale of 1 to 5. It was probably like a 3. I think that it's really easy to explode as this 7-hand size character. Yes, you got a lot of damage reduction, but it's the cost of your stage. And so, like, a character, at the surface, it doesn't makes sense for you to be playing a character that says sacrifice 2 foundations and then also be playing a 10 difficulty attack, right? Like, we want to keep our foundations as healthy as possible, so that we can resolve more attacks, but the character does a good enough job of like rebuilding themselves, so that like you have to make sure that your blocks are good, so that your stage is healthy, but still destroy your stage to stay under deadlock and to pump your stat. It's got a lot going on. And then how competitive is the deck? I'm gonna also say like a 3 out of 10. I think this could easily go and win like your 3 to 4 round local qualifier, local championship, but I don't know how it would fare up in a 7, 8, 9 round tournament. I think it might just be like a little too inconsistent for that, but I do think this is a good start, a good shell to what a 4-check Hange could potentially look like. So with that said, if you like the video, make sure you do all the cool YouTube stuff, like, share, comment, subscribe, share with all of your other Hange enthusiast friends, and please, again, check out Webcam Wednesday. I will have my entire Webcam Wednesday run up on the YouTube channel here pretty soon. But with that said, thank you much for watching, you guys, and as always, I wish you well.